Today I have a video I'm really excited to do. I'm going to talk about all of the sparkliest eyeshadow options at Ulta. We're going to talk about these formulas, swatch them, and I'm going to show demos. In my opinion, there's been more and more options to come to Ulta, and it can be really overwhelming. So hopefully by watching this video, you'll have some good ideas of where to start. Especially with the holiday season right around the corner and a bunch of sales, it might also be a good time to take advantage of some savings. I've got a good mix of some older products, some newer products, so let's go ahead and get into it. First, we have to talk about R.E.M. Beauty. In particular, I need to tell you about the Fembot Press Single Shadow. This shade came out earlier this year and it really blew me away in terms of the quality, the intensity, the lasting power. I certainly hope that R.E.M. Beauty is going to make more single shadows in this kind of format because honestly, I think their pressed eyeshadows are their best performing eyeshadows. This shade that I'm swatching is a blue-brown duochrome, and I actually did a whole video on the Fembot capsule, which I'm going to link in the cards. One of my favorite things to do is simply use the shade as a one and done type of shadow, which I'm going to show you how I did in a little demo here. I paired it with their matching glossy balm in the shade Fembot as well. I'm very excited to see what else R.E.M. Beauty does in the future, so if you haven't tried this formula, it is one that I would recommend. And I couldn't make this video and not talk about the Supershock shadows from ColourPop. These have been around for years at this point. And while the price point of ColourPop shadows have crept up a little bit, I would still say they are definitely on the more affordable side. I'm swatching here the shade Ritz, and this is actually a really good dupe for Urban Decay's Space Cowboy. It's not exact, but it's pretty darn close, and you do get a really good variety of shades in the Supershock line. I'm pretty sure they also have some other shades that would serve as really good dupes for more higher end single eyeshadows. Now the formula of these almost feels like a cream to powder finish. You can see from my fingerprint in the pan that there's some bounce to these shadows. There is also a range in finishes. Some of the shades are definitely more sparkly than others. I would say Ritz is in the category of more sparkly. I'm curious to know in the comments what some of your favorite Supershock shadows are. Next, of course, we have to talk about the Moondust shadows from Urban Decay. These shadows have been around for such a long time, and I feel like they're particularly known for giving a sort of scattered sparkle, especially with a shade like Space Cowboy where you have more of a kind of light champagne base. The shade that I'm swatching here is called Glitter Rock. In my opinion, it's one of the most sparkly and intense Moondust shades that they have. Now the formula does feel very different in the pan than something like a ColourPop Supershock shadow. It feels like it's firmly pressed. And some of the shades are definitely more sparkly than others. These shades do tend to go on sale around the holidays, so it's something to keep in mind in case it's been on your wish list to try or to gift to somebody else. In my demo, I'm trying on the shade Headliner, which is a light blue I got from Beauty Bay. It's definitely one of my top favorite Moondust shades. I do want to mention that I feel like the Moondust formula is a little bit polarizing, so if you're planning to try it for the first time, I recommend just picking up maybe one shade. It's honestly the same advice I'd give you when trying any formula for the first time. Next, we have the new liquid shadows that came out from Urban Decay earlier this year. These are called the Glaze On liquid eyeshadows. And the packaging on these is very interesting. You have a sort of paintbrush applicator. You shake up each shade before use, and you can kind of build up the opacity and the intensity to your liking. I do want to say that both the formula and the packaging has been a little bit polarizing. The biggest complaint that I've seen is that some people do have creasing with this formula and that the paintbrush applicator doesn't go all the way down into the tube. I found that the formula does take a little bit to dry down, like a couple of minutes, but then once it's set on me, it did stay. And one of the ways I enjoyed using this formula was to apply it first and then to put a Moondust pressed shadow on top for an even more intense look. Okay, this next formula I tried because I've had so many people recommend it to me and ask me to try it myself. And I can tell you it's for good reason. These are the Too Faced Disco Crush Single Shadows. And these come in a variety of shades. They are incredibly sparkly. This is the shade Hypnotic, and of all the shades that I'm showing you, it's right up there with probably some of the most sparkly shadows at Ulta. Something that really took me off guard though is that these are $30. That definitely seems pricey for Too Faced. I'm used to seeing prices like that with Pat McGrath, but anyway, this is undeniably very sparkly, and if you're looking to get it at a discount, this might be a good time to try it. Here's what the first 5 formulas I just talked about look like swatched on my arm. I feel like in this set we hit some classics, but also some hidden gems, especially the Fembot shade from R.E.M. Beauty. I also feel like the Too Faced one could be a hidden gem. Okay, next we have another classic. We have the Glitter Puck from Half Magic. This is an extremely beloved formula, and it's been really nice to see that they've been expanding the shades. At this point, they have a champagne, they have a pale pink, and they have a really intense silver. The shade that I'm swatching here is their newest shade. It's called Glimmer Pop, the light champagne. And honestly, I feel like the sparkle in this one is their most intense sparkle yet. It has a kind of wet formula, but when you apply it, it dries down and you don't get really much fallout with it. Personally, I still would use a glitter glue, but that's because I do tend to get a decent amount of fallout with most sparkly eyeshadows in general. The second shade that I'm showing in my demo is the silver one called Cyber Diamond. Half Magic being at Ulta is an absolutely wonderful thing because they're constantly coming out with some of the sparkliest eyeshadows in my collection. Okay, we actually have another couple of formulas that I want to talk about from Half Magic. One is their pressed duochromes, and the shade that I'm holding is called Blushing Lizard. This is their kind of cult classic. I would say that it's another version of R.E.M. Beauty's Fembot. These retail for $14. They come in compostable packaging. You can put them in your own magnetic palette, and they're constantly expanding the range. Like, we just got some new shades that just launched to Ulta Beauty. These shades really do pack a punch. I feel like the price point is pretty fair. The one thing I want to note about the formula is that it is a little bit emollient. I have heard that some people get creasing, so it's something to keep in mind. That being said, I do think this formula works for a lot of people. In my demo, I am applying the shade Mermaculate, which is such a vibrant teal shade. I love having such an editorial makeup brand in a place like Ulta. And I am going to include a third product from Half Magic. These are the Sparkle Sticks. They came out early last year and have been loved by so many because basically these eyeshadow sticks really pack a punch. There's a lot of eyeshadow sticks on the market. There's only a few that I think are particularly sparkly. This is one of those formulas. This is the shade Champagne Snowflake. The precise applicator really allows you to use it as eyeliner to get a graphic look with it. You just have to be careful not to roll it up too high because if you do, you can get some breakage. You can see how I'm applying it here just in a more kind of fun and editorial way. I think that's definitely one advantage of this type of eyeshadow stick. Now, I do think these are a little pricey. These are each $25, which can really add up if you're trying to get a few shades. However, they do go on sale at Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, so that's a good time to snag these. And I think there's going to be some holiday sales as well, so keep an eye out. Next, we have a new formula that I tested out this year. This is from MAC, and this is the Dazzle Stick eyeshadow stick. I honestly found this a very user-friendly formula, and a few of the shades are super kind of shiny and sparkly. This is Demure Diamonds, and I also really loved Bedazzled Denim and Haku Haze. I've got a dedicated video where I try on every shade in the line and do some detailed swatches. Now again, this is a pricier formula. This is $28 per shade, but with some great sales around the corner, I really do think it's a great formula to keep in mind. What I really like about this formula is how easily it glides on. I also didn't get any fallout with these. I can get a little bit of fallout with the Half Magic. That just wasn't the case with these ones. These ones aren't as sparkly, but just look at how much shine you get with this shade Demure Diamonds. Okay, now we have a formula that y'all have heard me talk about so many times. These are the Shadowstix Diamonds from Fenty, and at the time that I'm making this video, they are still available at Ulta. They come in 3 shades. And Fenty rarely comes out with eyeshadow these days, so when I saw these sneak peeked and I saw that they were ultra sparkly, I had to jump on it. This is the shade How Many Carats. I love a shade like this, and exactly how I'm applying it in the demo is exactly how I like to wear it, especially paired over some type of matte shadow or worn as part of a halo eye, you can see how high impact it is, how much sparkle it has. They also came out with a really pretty ethereal purple shade called Miss Prissy that I'm applying in this demo, and a very sparkly champagne called Champion. In my opinion, this has been a really great year for the sparkle lovers when it comes to new Fenty products. And some of the new products that Fenty's come out with have actually been Ulta exclusives. And here's what the second set of formulas and shades I just talked about look like swatched on my arm. Looking at these swatches makes me so happy because I genuinely have so many favorites in all of the formulas that I'm showing you. Okay, now we have to talk about Stila. I feel like Stila has been around for so long and they really did pave the way when it came to so many sparkly products, especially these glitter and glow eyeshadows. And actually, believe it or not, I hadn't tried this formula until this year. And I gotta say, I wasn't expecting them to be as high impact as they are. I mean, they've been around for a while. But when I swatched them, tried them on, and wore them, I could really see what all the hype was about. I feel like Stila is just such a solid brand, and I'm really rooting for them. I want to see them come out with some other cool products in the future. But I do think it's fun to kind of go back and revisit some of these cult classics. For this look I created, I'm using one of their matte liquid shadows, and then I'm just taking this shade Perlina and I'm topping it over. Very easy, high impact look, and you're gonna get a great quality with Stila, and they're another brand that go on sale quite a bit. Okay, the next formula I'm going to talk about is from Pat McGrath, and this is one of the single shadows that came out last year as a part of a little holiday kit. This is that very kind of beloved baked slurry formula, and this is the shade Blitz Sapphire. Now, this particular single shadow I don't think is currently available, but keep an eye out for holiday kits to come from the brand. And also, this is a dupe for the blue shade that's in Mothership 1. The Motherships do tend to go on very deep discount around the holidays, and that palette is still, I feel like, such a special palette. One I feel like really withstands the test of time. That truly is one of the most impressive blue shimmer shadows in my collection. And here it is in my little demo. I also want to mention that you can get some Pat McGrath quads, and I have seen that Ulta carry some of them. I would expect some to go on sale during the holidays. Okay, now we have a single shadow from the Ulta Beauty brand. This is one of the blue brown duochromes, and this shade just came out like within the last couple months. This is the shade Disco Queen, and it's in the same family of shadows as R.E.M Fembot, as Half Magic Blushing Lizard. I think these shadows are definitely worth checking out. I'm going to be honest though, I didn't find this to be as high impact as Fembot or as Blushing Lizard. But if you are looking for something that's a little bit more subtle, I think that these shadows are a great option. And also, this is a formula that's under $10, so definitely on the more budget-friendly side. This particular shadow is not at all emollient, and I think it's going to work on a wide variety of skin types. I also had some people tell me that they like to use these in combination with some of their more sparkly shades to get an even more amped up look. There's just so many ways to wear sparkle. Okay, and the last formula I'm going to talk about is from Morphe, and Morphe has done a lot of reformulating, repackaging over the past year or so, and a lot of their products are just a lot nicer, if I'm honest. I know I included mostly single shadows in this video, but these palettes are around $15, so definitely on the more budget-friendly side. And something I learned about these metallic shades that's kind of cool is that you can actually use these dry, and even dry they're pretty sparkly, but if you spray the pan with the setting spray and then apply it, you can see that basically it becomes like a liquid metal, and I just think that's really cool. Even in the swatch, you can see how much more impact you get when you use it like that. I'm very keen to see what else Morphe does down the line because I've just been very impressed with a lot of their recent launches, including their blushes, their lip liners, and lots of other products. And here's what the third set of formulas I just talked about look like swatched on my arm. Even as I made this video, I realized that there's probably some other formulas I could have included, but honestly, I think this is a great place to start. We talked about 15 formulas, so if you're looking for sparkly eyeshadow either for yourself or for a loved one, I really do think that this is a great place to start. I'd love to hear in the comments if you've tried any of these formulas or if you have any other formulas you'd recommend to me and to others. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.